Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Monday, February 17th. It is time for Mock Draft Monday. Jaguars finalists for the GM job have been named. You can go back and check out that video from yesterday if you're curious to learn more about those folks. But for now, we are talking about the draft, which starts April 24th. The first round kicked off Thursday night, April 24th. And we've got a situation here where I wanted to mix it up a little bit and look at the Jaguars potentially trading down from 5 with a team that, for whatever reason, they might want to move up. I saw Mel Kiper talking about the Jets potentially wanting to jump the Raiders if Shedeur Sanders falls. But look, I think where I'm at right now, honestly, I think that Cam Ward and Shedeur are both going to go probably top 3. I don't think that's how it should go down, but I think that's how it's going to go down. So the Jets might not even have an opportunity to really jump up and get a quarterback, right? So I don't think the Jaguars are trading down with the Jets. Point in saying that. I kind of looked at some teams and I was like, who would be a team that would trade up to where you're in the 10 overall range? And I landed on the Saints. I mean, this is a team that kind of operates in their own bubble, operates in a vacuum. They do things their own way. And they might say, draft value be damned. We're going to go up and we're going to get our guy. We're going to get our guy we feel comfortable with. So I have the Jaguars trading down with the Saints here. And this is just an exploration because we do mock drafts for the Jaguars every Monday, every week, right? And so we're trying to look at different ways it could play out. This is a situation where the Jaguars are able to trade down to around 10. They're able to land an additional second-round pick in doing so, and they also send back pick 181 in round 6 to the Saints, go down to 9 overall. And at this spot, you have lost a lot of the blue-chip prospects. There's no doubt about it. But having more bites at the apple early on in the draft is always a good thing. And this gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks in the top 105. I think that is unbelievable amount of draft capital that you can feel really excited about. And we still do land a blue chip prospect in my mind. And if you wanted to approach the draft this way, I think an appropriate thing to do would be to not go out and sign a corner and land Will Johnson at 9, because I think even if you can't land Will Johnson at 9, I would be comfortable with some other corners at that spot, particularly Savon Ravel. I would not be surprised if the Jaguars really like him a lot too. That guy is an unbelievable football player. And yes, he's coming off of a knee, but you're not drafting him for the beginning of his rookie year. You're drafting him to be a stud for you for a long time. But in this situation, Will Johnson's still there. And I think there's a good chance he could be there. Maybe a probability at 9, because you hear a lot of chatter about him not having that elite long speed. I think he has a tremendous game. Size, athleticism. He is a student of the game. You can absolutely see that in the way he plays, both in off zone coverage and in man coverage. He's physical. He's strong. I mean, the guy, he's ready for you to slip up if you're a quarterback, and he's going to take advantage of it. You see it consistently on tape. So Will Johnson, to me, especially if he can go out and test and show that speed, but even if he can't, at 9, I feel very comfortable taking him, right? So taking Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan, at 9, and we have crossed off corner from our list, right? You no longer need a corner in any way. And the Jaguars, since they have since Ethan Waugh has been in place, and I think even if Ethan Waugh doesn't get the GM job, he might still be within the organization. I think there's a strong possibility of that. Since Ethan Waugh, got to Jacksonville, they've consistently traded down in the first round, which is another reason I wanted to explore this. And they have also gone into the draft with like a clear need that they want to address in the first round, and then they can kind of go BPA or get the fits that they want throughout the rest of the draft. That's how it's been since Ethan Waugh has been in Jacksonville, which it's been fairly fruitful. And I know that folks haven't always agreed with the immediate impact of some of the draft picks, but the last couple years they've been drafting good football players in Jacks. They have. So Will Johnson of the Jaguars at 9, cornerback, and then at 36. And this is another reason I feel pretty comfortable not landing Mason Graham, who, if the Jaguars pick at 5, that's my pick, Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. I think there's a really, really strong possibility, a likelihood that there is a super talented defensive tackle available at 36 overall. And so that's a bet I feel fairly comfortable making. And Darius Alexander, the DT out of Toledo, is available. And he's actually, check my big board. I have Mason Graham at 4 overall. I have Darius Alexander at 13. And I know I'm higher on him than a lot of folks, but he's in the second round conversation for most draft analysts. I think team boards, there's going to be teams that have him in the top 32. And I certainly do right now. I think that his combination of explosiveness, length, athleticism overall, nimbleness, and strength, and then you talk about what he actually does on the field with those tools, he is too much for guards to handle one-on-one. And he has a bag of pass rush moves. He has really nice hands and feet that marry up together. He, similar to Mason Graham, does a great job with these swipes and chops and using his agility to swipe you or chop you and then get going in the other direction while you're falling off to the side, right? Both of these guys do a tremendous job at that. And he is powerful. He's strong, and he's really strong against the run as well. I don't think that there's a huge gap, honestly, between... And Graham is more of a freak because he's 320 versus like 306, right? So I would definitely take Graham well ahead of Alexander, but I would take Alexander. If I have a team in the teens that needs interior defensive line and we're looking at that, he would be high on my list, right? He is my DT2 right now. Right after him is Kenneth Grant. Then you have like a drop off with Walter Nolan, Tyleik Williams, guys like that. Derek Harmon. But yeah, I think Darius Alexander is an absolute stud. So getting him at 36 would be a home run. And now you're talking about creating an interior defensive line, and you would do the same thing with Mason Graham, but creating an interior defensive line that is super talented with him and Mason Smith, obviously Eric Armstead and Devon Hamilton, but also 2 guys you can build around that are on rookie deals for the next several years that could help you have really talented group there, but then be able to allocate funds elsewhere. I think that's a smart way to play it. Create kind of a superpower on the interior there. At 40, we've got wide receiver Jaden Higgins, and Higgins is just a stud to me. You put him outside, you put him as a power slot, whatever you want to do. He can definitely play X. His ability to go up and get contested catch footballs at 6'4", 217 pounds, super strong hands, focused, body control, good route runner for his size. He's a good route runner, period. But he is a really good route runner for his size. The way he can sink his hips and go in the other direction is pretty rare at 6'4", 217. Does not drop the football. Usually is not letting contested catch situations go the other way. And so I think giving Trevor Lawrence a receiver with that type of skill set is what he's been missing quite a bit since he left Clemson, quite frankly. And I think that would just be awesome for the Jags. And then you're also talked about creating that, really good young core of interior defensive linemen, which is that's a position now that gets paid a ton of money. Doing the same thing at wide receiver, which is the second highest paid position in football. You're able to allocate funds elsewhere with creating the Jaden Higgins and Brian Thomas Jr. duo, with creating the Darius Alexander and Mason Smith duo. So good stuff there. 70 overall. Safety, Andrew Makuba. The Jaguars, they absolutely have a need at safety. I think, and I did forget to mention, I've been saying it consistently. I think the Jaguars should sign a guard this offseason. Absolutely need to sign a guard. Okay? Um, I don't see anywhere around it. So whether it's Tevin Jenkins or Trey Smith or Mekhi Becton or Will Fries, who's coming off an injury, there's a lot of options out there, right? You've also got James Daniels coming off an injury. So if you want to go cheap and bring in a guy coming off an injury, you can go Fries or Daniels. If you want to really kind of solidify and get some power, Trey Smith, Tevin Jenkins, Mekhi Becton. But I think they also need to sign a safety. I think they also need to draft a safety. And Andrew Makuba, safety out of Texas by way of Clemson, he is not the biggest dude. He's a very slender-looking safety, but he does not play that way. He plays like he's shot out of a cannon. He plays smart. He plays fast. I think that he's going to be a long-time starter in the NFL. Getting him at 70 would be a home run. Then at 88, we get our center of the future, Jared Wilson out of Georgia, who I don't think he gets as much buzz just because, he hasn't played a ton. He played 1 year as a starter at Georgia, but he's got all the movement skills, athleticism, strength, and I think he looked like he knew what he was doing from a hand placement standpoint, from executing assignments. I think Jared Wilson's going to be a starting center in the league and be a pretty darn good one. Then at 105, we continue to build out that defensive front. Josh Farmer, still on the board out of Florida State. He is a hoss. He is difficult to deal with. He's 315 pounds, strong as an ox. He will push you and push you and push you into that backfield. I think he's going to be a good run defender. I think he's going to be a pocket pusher on clear pass rushing situations. So you now have three on your interior defensive line that you can build around for the future, and I think that's really exciting. Three really talented dudes. At 124, edge, David Walker. This is a small school guy, and he's only a little over 6 feet, about 6'1", close to it, but he has good proportional length, and he's over 265 pounds. He has got some mass on his frame, a dense frame, and he's got strength. He's got speed off the edge. He can win through you. He can win going around you on the outside arc. Special football player, and he's a great changeup. I think the Jaguars should sign an edge in free agency as a rotational guy. David Walker comes in here, and he's competing as well for reps there. So I think that he's just somebody who could be a day 3 steal at edge. If not him, if Femi Oladejo is still available, that's somebody I'd be eyeing as well. At 142, we went with running back Jordan James just because Liam Cohen, I'm sure, saw Jordan James when he was scouting Bucky Irving last year. Same team, Oregon. And Jordan James, he's got some similar traits to Bucky. I don't think either of them is a burner, but they both have good vision. They both are tough runners. They're smaller type runners. And I think Jordan James could come in and do some similar things, honestly, to Bucky Irving. And so you're talking about doing some similar things to Bucky Irving. Liam Cohen can get fired up about that. At 193, we have offensive lineman Miles Frazier out of LSU. He's just a guy. He played great at the Senior Bowl. His tape's a little bit up and down, but he played tackle. He played guard at times. Somebody who I think could potentially be very versatile for you across the offensive line and just good backup, compete to improve the depth of your group there. And then at 222, quarterback Tyler Shuck, and I forgot to mention this too. I did this over on the PFF mock draft machine because I wanted to change it up a little bit. I normally do it on the NFL mock draft database simulator, and I think that's a great product, but I wanted to switch it up and again, kind of see about doing something a little different and offering, a little different perspective from where these players are ranked, all that type of stuff. So Tyler Shuck, he's just, to me, a guy who has a chance to be a starter. I don't know why he's consistently available late in these drafts on these simulators, but I think he should be a day 2 pick at quarterback. He's got all the kind of operational stuff down, and he should, because he's a 25-year-old quarterback. But he's also got the ability to really throw from different arm angles, throw on the run, play make a little bit. I think he's got natural arm talent, size you're looking for. He's somebody that he had some injuries throughout college. So I think as a long-term backup for Trevor, sign me up if he's still available, which I don't think he will be. But going to take advantage of these market inefficiencies when they present themselves, right? Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. Y'all have a good one.